Hi, it's a privilege to be here. Thank you for joining Godly Women Matters live session. And what we'll be discussing today is a very important topic, and that's why I'm so excited to be here. So, wherever you're watching me from, I would like you to drop your name and the location where you're watching me from. Drop it in the comment section. And yes, when I'm seeing your comments, I'll make sure I acknowledge you. Let me give you a brief introduction of what Godly Women Matters stand for. Godly Women Matters is an inspiring and impactful organization that is making a difference in the lives of many women, singles, married. Its comprehensive approach to empowering women in every areas of their lives has resonated with many testimonies on all of our social media platforms, Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, has been flying here and there. And we thank God for what God is doing through Godly Women Matters. So wherever you're watching me from, please drop it in the comment section. Drop your name and the location where you are watching me from. Thank you. My name is Roslyn Nelson, and by the grace of God, I am the convener of Godly Women Matters. So, like you have seen on the dashboard, as you have seen on the thumbnail, I will be talking about relationship red flags. Relationship red flags. Permit me to share my screen. Relationship red flags. Oh, good. So, I'll be talking about relationship red flags for singles. What are relationship red flags? What should you do when you discover that your relationship is unhealthy after discovering some red flags in your relationship? What are the steps to take? Every of these questions that might be in your mind are those things that I am going to talk about in this life. And I hope it will be interactive. Drop your comments, drop your questions in the comment section. You are welcome. I welcome you all. So let's move. What are relationship red flags? So I'll be starting with this interesting story. Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Lily who had just started courting a charming man named Jack. At first, everything seemed perfect. Jack was attentive, kind, and always made Lily feel special. Oh, you would say, this is a perfect man, isn't it? However, as time went on, Lily began to notice some relationship red flags. Firstly, Jack was always checking his phone and seemed to be hiding something. Lily couldn't help but feel suspicious and wondered if he was talking to other women behind her back. Secondly, Jack would often cancel plans last minute or show up late without explanation. This made Lily feel like she wasn't a priority in his life. Looking at this story, what are those relationship red flags that you can bring out of the story, that you can deduce from this story? Number one, I would say Jack did not prioritize Lily. He is always checking his phone, and it seemed that he is hiding something. So it shows that Jack was hiding something from Lily. Secondly, Jack wasn't accountable, and he is not open in the relationship. He would make plans and cancel the plans last minute without giving a detailed explanation for why he has done whatever he has done. Then he is not giving Lily the priority that he should have given Lily as the spouse, as a partner to be, as a significant other to be. So let's continue with the story. Lily noticed that Jack would often make snide comments meaning derogatory, mocking comments in an indirect way. And all of these things are those things we are still going to talk about later on in this program. This made her feel embarrassed and hurt. Despite these red flags, Lily tried to ignore them and convince herself that everything was fine. Hmm. However, one day, Lily finally had enough and decided to confront Jack about his behavior. Unfortunately, Jack became defensive, another red flag, and refused to take responsibility for his actions. Lily realized that she deserved better and she ended the relationship. That was a nice move, isn't it? So let's continue, and we are going to bring out red flags that you should look out for in a relationship. Very important. What are those red flags that you should look out for in a relationship? I would like to say not all relationships makes our lives better. Some relationships are not good for us. And if the relationships are not good, then it is time that you assess the relationship and know what to do. Assess the relationship, know if it's something you can discuss with your partner, with your significant other to be, and know the next step to take if it will require you ending such relationship. Some relationships damage your well-being instead of making you better. Some can even be toxic, and it is very important that you recognize these red flags. Now, what are relationship red flags? How can we identify them? Most importantly, what should we do when our relationship has gotten to an unhealthy stage? Remember, this particular discussion is to the singles. Now, let's go forward. At the end, Lily learned that it's important to pay attention to relationship red flags and not ignore them. It's important to pay attention to relationship red flags and not ignore them. You know, especially when a relationship is just starting and you're beginning to see all of these red flags, people tend to give excuses for their partner. People tend to say, oh, he's going to change. People tend to say, oh, we would work on it. Or maybe because the relationship is new, we would get to know each other and everything is going to change. I tell you, you cannot change any man. If you discover a relationship red flag, pay attention to it. Know that it is not something to be ignored. It is not something to give excuse for. It is better to be single and happy than to be in a toxic relationship. It is better to be single and happy than to be in a toxic relationship. So, do not ignore any relationship red flag that you discover in the process of relating with any individual. In the midst of the relationship with that individual, do not ignore the red flags. It is easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new relationship and overlook all of these warning signs that sometimes isn't quite right. But it's important to remember that a healthy relationship should make you feel happy and fulfilled. I intentionally highlighted that part and make it bold and even used purple color so that you would see it very well. It is important to remember that a healthy relationship should make you feel happy and fulfilled and not drained and unhappy. I wish you can repeat this after me wherever you are. A good relationship, a healthy relationship should make you feel happy and fulfilled and not drained and unhappy. Very important. So if you find yourself constantly making excuses for your partner's behavior or feeling like you are walking on eggshells around them, it's time to take a step back and reevaluate that relationship. Do you know what that part is trying to tell you? The moment you see yourself trying to tiptoe around the relationship, try to pretend you are not expressing yourself in that relationship, you are feeling like you are walking on eggshell. Eggshells are fragile, and you know how you will be walking gently on an eggshell because you don't want the egg to break. So if you find yourself feeling like you are walking on an eggshell in that relationship, finding yourself walking like not able to express yourself, you don't want the relationship to break, you don't want the relationship to end. So you are trying to patch the relationship. You should know that at that point, that relationship is not making you happy, and it is time to assess that relationship. That is a red flag. So when you have gotten to this stage, it's time for you to take a step back and reevaluate the relationship. Remember, being single is not a bad thing. It is an opportunity to focus on yourself and to find happiness on your own terms. So, reading the story of Lily and Jack, the moral of the story is that relationship red flags should never be ignored. If something doesn't feel right, it's important to trust your instincts and to take action. Don't settle for someone who doesn't treat you the way you deserve to be treated. At this point, I need to ask you, do you even know the worth? Do you even know the value that you have? As a single sister, do you know the value? Do you know your place in the life of that brother? The scripture says, whosoever finds a wife finds a good thing. It shows that you are that good thing. And because you are that good thing, you deserve to be treated as a good thing. So don't settle for someone that doesn't treat you as a good thing. Don't settle for less. Don't settle for less. If that person is not treating you as that good thing that you are, as that gift, as that woman of virtue that you are, then you don't deserve that relationship. Now, what are red flags? What are red flags? Just like the red signs, just like the stop signs, just like the red lights, all these traffic lights that you will see. When you see a red light, the stop sign, when you see a red light in the traffic, what comes to your mind? It means that you should stop and assess that situation, isn't it? It means you should press your brake and assess that situation. The same thing, red flags. They are warning signs. They are indicators that suggest potential problems or concerns in a situation in that relationship. They serve as clues. They serve as cues for you to pay attention, to assess the situation, to take action. Red flags can apply to various aspects of life, including your relationships, professional settings, financial dealings, and personal well-being. But in this particular lecture, we are talking about red flags as related to relationships. So red flags are the warning signs. They are the indicators. They are those signals that you will see that suggest problems, that suggests that you should assess the situation, that suggests that you should pause, press that brake in that relationship, just like you would press a brake when you're driving and all of a sudden the traffic light turns red. You press a brake. The same way, when you see a red flag in a relationship, take a break, press that brake, take a pause, assess the situation of that relationship. Now, generally, when we talk about red flags are totally subjective. It is personal to individual. Most times, they are specific to each individual based on values, based on desires, based on preferences. For a person, it might be a huge red flag if the partner to be is horrible at texting back on time. Some people, whenever they send a message, they want their partner to be, to reply immediately. To them, it shows that yes, you have me at heart, and immediately I send you a message, you respond immediately. When that individual is not responding immediately, to some people, it is a red flag. To others, they would not see it as a red flag. So red flags are subjective and are personal. But there are some red flags that are the non-negotiable. There are some red flags that are non-negotiable, and these are the red flags that I will be talking about in this particular lecture. So it's worth your time to occasionally reevaluate the health of your relationship. Ask yourself, is this relationship that I am presently, is it healthy or is it unhealthy? Unfortunately, some people start to accept red flags as part of the package. No, red flags is not part of the package of any relationship. Don't make that mistake. Rather than seeing them as warning signal, red flags should be seen as warning signal for you to take a break, for you to assess the situation. Don't see red flags as part of the package. It is not part of the package. And as a result, because they have seen it as part of the package, they become accessible, they become vulnerable to emotional, psychological, and even sometimes physical harm. They start to take all these things that they are not supposed to go through as a woman of virtue, as a sister of virtue, as a gift to the husband to be. They start to accept it because they see it as part of the package. Now let's move forward and let's talk about all of these red flags. I would be talking about 10 red flags in this particular live session. And these red flags I'll be talking about are those red flags that are non-negotiable. Number one, an individual that does not have a relationship with God. Ooh. What did the scripture says about that in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 6? It says, what relationship, what connection, what alliance has righteousness with unrighteousness, has light with darkness? There should be no communion between a believer and an unbeliever. You don't expect godly virtues from an ungodly person. That is when you will start seeing that individual asking for sex in the relationship, and because you want to keep that relationship, because that individual is pressurizing you, because you want to keep that relationship and you don't want the relationship to break, all of a sudden you see that little by little you are falling into the trap, you are falling into fornication. And you know that God is against any individual. God is against sex outside of marriage. God is against sex outside of marriage. And if God that instituted marriage is against sex outside of marriage, then you know that it is a big no. It is a sin if you are involving in that. So it is a big red flag. If you are saying, oh, I want somebody tall, dark, and handsome, I want somebody that is this and that, I want, you are giving yourself all of this, and part of your criteria is not somebody that has a relationship with God, then you have not started. Another thing is lack of communication. When you start sensing lack of communication in a relationship, it is time for you to take a pause, assess that relationship. Communication is very vital in any relationship. So if one or both intending partners consistently avoid discussing important issues during courtship, whenever you ask questions, whenever you ask that individual one particular question in courtship, and you know that courtship is not just a time to take yourself out, go to the restaurant, eat shawarma, eat pizza, and all of that. Courtship is a time to discuss deep questions, to discuss heartfelt questions, to trash out things that you need to understand, because you are going into a lifelong relationship with this individual. So courtship is the time for you to discuss all of these things. Now, when you discover that in the midst of courtship, in the period of courtship, you're asking questions, you're trying to get to know this individual, but whenever you ask this particular question, this individual will try to bring up a matter to cover it up. Know that it is a red flag. It shows that this individual is hiding something from you. It shows that this individual is trying to be is not open in that relationship. So it is important to note that there are also extremely toxic ways to communicate with your partner. When you see that in the midst of communication, all of a sudden you start to argue, all of a sudden you start to all of a sudden you start saying that, oh, you are abusing each other, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. All of a sudden, you start seeing that this individual is gaslighting you. This individual starts cursing you. This individual starts insulting you. This individual starts using foul languages on you. You can tell that there is a problem there, and it is a red flag. When you see that in the process of communicating, all of a sudden, the communication, most times when you want to communicate, the communication will always turn sour. The communication will always lead you to verbal abuse, will always lead you to cursing and every other thing, or the individual, your partner to be, will start cursing and will start using foul languages. Hello, my brothers and sisters, that is a red flag there. Number 3, controlling behavior. Controlling behavior. An intending partner who exhibits controlling tendencies, such as trying to isolate you from friends and families, monitoring your activities excessively, making decisions for you without your input, is a significant red flag. You are still in the relationship, you are not yet married even. So if at this point he is so controlling, he wants to know where you are at this point in time, at this time, where are you, who are you with? Oh, let me check your WhatsApp, who are you chatting with? Let me check your email, I want to be sure that I'm the only one that is in your life. Let me check this, and the person is so controlling and tries to isolate you from friends and families and is monitoring everything about you, calling you every now and then. At the beginning of the relationship, you might think that, oh, this person is so loving, every time he's calling me and asking me where am I, who am I with, you start to think like, oh, he's caring. But the moment you see that it is beyond here, it is moving into controlling you, it is a red flag at that point. This behavior can be a sign of an unhealthy power dynamic. Does your partner to be insist on knowing where you are at all times, or being able to access your text and emails? These are controlling behaviors, even though they might seem like they come from a place of love and care. And still under this controlling behavior is the part of jealousy. Some jealousy here, some jealousy there. Yes, you can be jealous for someone that you love. It can be harmless. But when it becomes so common that you are seeing that it is growing into a controlling behavior, it is a red flag. If your partner starts to become possessive, controlling your plan, telling you this is what I want you to wear, this is who I want you to hang out with, even when it is against your will, even when it is against your wish, it is a controlling behavior and it is a red flag. Another point, number 4, anger leading to violence. Anger on its own, now leading to violence. A sign of a partner who isn't emotionally healthy is that they lash out when frustrated by even the smallest thing. Any small thing like this, you just discover that this individual gets angry easily. Any small thing is angered, and in the midst of being angry, it goes violent. Anger is a red flag. And In the midst of being angry, you see that this individual goes into being aggressive, physical, psychological aggression. All of this are signs of red flag in relationship. Number 5, disrespect and belittling. Disrespect and belittling. When you see that the individual that claims that he loves you, that individual that claims that, oh, I can do everything for you, I love you from the bottom of my heart, without you I cannot do anything, you are the only sugar in my tea, you are the only cockroach in my cupboard, and you start sensing disrespect. You start sensing that this individual is belittling you. This individual is using snide comments on you. It is a red flag. You deserve to date someone who treats you like royalty, and that is it. You deserve to date someone, to be in courtship with someone who treats you like royalty, not someone that treats you like a slave, not someone that treats you like just somebody, like just anybody. Mutual respect is crucial for a healthy relationship. So, if your partner consistently dismisses your opinions, belittles you, engages in demeaning behavior, it can erode your self-esteem and it can lead to an unhealthy dynamics. If this individual is always comparing you in any aspect, academics, body type, shape, comparing you with other ladies outside there, telling you how you are not good enough, how you can be like another person, telling you that your shape, you don't have figure 8, see your boobs, see your buttocks, see your hips, it's not big enough. In the relationship, my sister, my brother, because it can be either ways, it can be the sister to the brother, my brother, my sister, it is a red flag. If your partner is constantly putting you down, or if their behavior towards you makes you question your self-worth, I tell you, a good relationship should lift you up and not make you feel bad. A good relationship should make you feel good and not knock you down. So when in that relationship, you're always questioning your self-worth as a result of the reaction of that individual, your spouse to be, your significant other to be, it is time to assess that relationship. It is time to assess that relationship. And I will tell you a true life story. It's a true life story. I heard the story, it happened of recent, of this particular lady that has been in a relationship. This lady has been in a relationship, and this man kept telling her of how she is not good enough, of how her hips is not big enough. I wonder why the lady continued to be in the relationship. She kept patching it up, they got wedded. Still in the relationship, as a result, this man started verbally abusing her. It's an emotional abuse, verbal abuse, telling her how other people are better than her. And from verbal abuse, from emotional abuse, it went into a physical abuse to the point that he started to lay hands on this lady. So this lady started to think that, okay, since this man has been complaining about how my hips is not big enough, how I don't have a good figure, okay, let me go and do BBL, let me go and do liposuction, let me go and do BBL and add to my hips. So this girl did the BBL. It was successful. She came back home. But because this man will always lay hand on her, she was still recovering from this surgery, and this man bounced on her again. Now she developed complications. And she was rushed to the hospital because she was bleeding from her nose as a result of the physical abuse, as a result of the man beating her. It was in the hospital that she gave up the ghost and she died. A man that did not value her. Right from the relationship, she continued. She saw those red flags. She saw those warning signs. But she continued in the relationship, thinking that, oh, at least maybe when I get married to him, or maybe when I have done the BBL, maybe things will change. She lost her life in that relationship. And I know you have heard stories and stories and stories of people that have been getting this disrespect right from the relationship. They are seeing these red flags in this relationship, but they are giving excuses for their partner. They don't know how to end that relationship. They don't want the relationship to end. So they patch the relationship till the point of going into that marriage. And they regret it afterwards. I pray that will not be your portion. And that is why it's important that you discover these red flags and you take action. Number 6, when you discover dishonesty, secrecy, and lack of trust, why would there not be openness in a relationship? Why is it a relationship in the first place? Trust is the foundation of a strong relationship. The moment you start sensing dishonesty, secrecy, lack of trust in that relationship, that is not a relationship to be in. If you notice he or she keeps doing things that makes you lose your trust in him, he is lying, his here is not his here, his nay is not his nay, he's pretentious, he skirts around the truth, he hides large parts of their life from you. Hello, that is not a relationship to be in. If such individual makes your relationship, if such individual refuses to make your relationship known to people that matters, I'm not saying that this relationship has to go public. Some people are just private. They don't want the relationship to go public until when they get wedded, right? I'm not talking about posting it on social media. At least you are still courting. You can decide to keep it at that level. But when you between both of you, you say, okay, you are courting, and people that matters are not aware of the relationship. He's keeping his friends away from you. He's not making the relationship known to his parents, his siblings, spiritual authorities, and other persons that matters in his life. That is a red flag. That is a huge red flag. Also, in all the times you have spent together, you have heard countless hilarious stories about his friends, but you don't know any of them. He's keeping them from you. You have been together for a long time, but you are sensing suspiciousness. That is a red flag. Number 7, emotional and physical abuse. And this is where I will talk about gaslighting. Any form of abuse, emotional, physical, is a severe red flag. Don't pretend. Don't give excuses. Don't cover it up. It is a red flag. If you experience manipulation, threats, physical harm, coercive behavior, it is crucial to seek help and prioritize your safety. If you notice gaslighting in your relationship, what is gaslighting? When they turn the blame on you for something they did and they hold you responsible for the way they reacted to a situation. A matured individual should be able to take responsibilities even when he or she is wrong. So the moment you see that this individual is trying to hold you responsible for the way he or she reacted to a situation, every time he or she is pushing the blame on you, it's a way to blow you up. It's a form of manipulation, and it is a form of emotional abuse. Another thing that is worthy of note under this emotional and physical abuse is when an individual is always threatening to break up with you in that relationship. Any small thing, they will say, oh, I will break up with you. Me, I will break up with you in this relationship. Oh, is a form of emotional abuse. Threatening to break up with you, threatening to manipulate you with that word. Breaking up evokes a lot of strong emotions. So when you see that this individual is trying to manipulate you, telling you I will break up with you, trying to threaten you with that word, know that it is not the right place to be. It is not the right relationship to be. Because if such an individual is threatening you with a relationship now that you are single, you can tell that what of when you get married? What will he do? So you start saying, "Oh, I will throw you out of the house. I will send you back to your father's house. I would, it's not a right relationship to be." Number 8, lack of support. The healthy relationship involves both partners supporting each other's dream, goals, and emotional well-being. So when you see that this individual is not supportive, is not supportive of your dreams, is not supportive of your goals, is not supportive of your well-being, that is not the relationship to be in. If your partner consistently undermines, dismisses your aspirations, fails to provide emotional support, discourages your growth, it is a red flag. Number 9, remember we are going to 10. Number 9, constant conflict. You discover that every now and then in the relationship, you always come to this point of disagreement, conflict, every now and then, anger, hostility. It is not a place to be. Yes, disagreements are part of the relationship. There will be times that you would get yourself in disagreement in a relationship, right? But when it becomes frequent, every now and then, you are disagreeing on every issue, you are not able to come to a compromise, you are disagreeing on this issue today, tomorrow it is this, next tomorrow it is that, and both of you cannot come to a compromise, then that is a red flag. If you find yourself constantly arguing without finding resolutions, or you constantly experience intense anger or hostility, it is a red flag. And before you say, "Oh, I think I have to end this relationship," be sure that you are not the cause of that conflict in that relationship. Be sure you are not the cause of the conflict in that relationship. Number 10, which is the last one, when the relationship is always all about them. The relationship is always all about them. It doesn't matter your opinion, it doesn't matter your contribution to that relationship, it will not stand. It is whatever they say that you are going to do. Then you should know at that point that it is a red flag. You hang out at your significant other's house because that is what is convenient for him or her. It is a red flag. Every time it is always what I want, myself, not about what we want, not about the other person. You go out together, you visit the restaurant, and it is about, I prefer to eat pizza. And you are saying, for me, I think I prefer shawarma, I think I prefer jollof rice, fried rice. No, because I want pizza, you have to eat what I want. We are eating pizza together. It is a red flag. If they are never taking your interests or likes and dislikes into account, then that is not okay. Relationships are all about compromise. I said that earlier. Relationships are all about compromise. Compromise on the big and the small stuff. But I usually say, compromise does not come to the point where you compromise your faith for relationship. So when I'm talking about compromise, I'm talking about compromise on the non-essentials. Relationship should not make you compromise your faith. Relationship should not make you compromise your values. So when the relationship is all about them, it is a big red flag. Relationship are about even exchange, and there should be a balance. Now, let's move forward. Based on what you now know about LD and non-LD relationship dynamics, you should be able to determine which way your relationship leans. By now, you should be able to know the position, you should be able to assess the health of your relationship, just like a doctor, a nurse, and health practitioner will assess an individual. You should be able to assess the health of your relationship. How healthy is your relationship? How unhealthy is your relationship? Based on everything I have said. And sometimes because you are so you are blinded by love, you are blinded in the you are swimming in the euphoria of the love, you tend to cover up for the mistake, you tend to cover up for all of those red flags, you tend to give excuses for all of these red flags. So at some point it is important that when you are not when you see that you're not comfortable in that relationship, it is important that you seek help. Seek for the help of a trusted sibling, a trusted friend, a trusted parent, or seek the help of a therapist to know what to do, to assess the situation for you. If you are so blinded in that euphoria of love that you are not able to assess it, there's no how you are sensing that something is wrong, but you are not able to take the bold step, you're not able to take the action, then seek the help of a trusted friend, a trusted sibling, a trusted parent, or a therapist. It can also be a trusted spiritual authority in your life. Seek help. Now ask yourself these questions. Do I feel free to be myself in this relationship? It's important to ask yourself the question. Do I feel free to be myself in this relationship? Because these are the questions you would ask to be able to know the health, to be able to assess the health of your relationship. Do I feel free to be myself in the relationship? Do I maintain other relationships outside of this relationship with my partner? If you see that it's just you and your partner, you don't have any other relationship, your partner is not even allowing you to have any other relationship, friendships outside, it is not a good relationship. Another question, does my partner support my goals and dreams? Does my partner support my goals and dreams? You know what the answer is. So assess the health of your relationship as you're listening to me. It will help you to know if you are in the right relationship or if you are in the wrong relationship. Do I constantly question whether my partner likes or loves me? If you are at that point where you don't even know, you are beginning to think, I'm not sure if he loves me, I'm not sure if he likes me, I'm not sure because he's doing this, he's hiding things from me, he's not supportive, he's this and he's that. At that point that you start to question his love, and you see that it is constant, because I know as women, they cannot please us 100%. So there are times when you would question the love of your partner to be right. But when you see that it is constant, every now and then you are not comfortable in that relationship, every now and then you are questioning his love for you in the relationship, then it is not a good relationship to be in. Number 5, does my partner respect my boundaries? Is it not the type that is domineering? Is it not the type that wants me to do only what he tells me and is not considerate about my likes, about my dislike? He doesn't care what I want to do. It is just about him. He doesn't respect my boundary. It is not a relationship to be in. So ask yourself and assess the situation. If it bothers you that much, then it is a red flag. I said it at the beginning that red flags are subjective, they are personal. So whatever it is, if it bothers you that much, then it is a red flag. If it bothers you that much, then it is a red flag. Let's move on as we will be rounding up soon. What should I do if I notice that my relationship is not healthy? What should I do? If I notice that this particular relationship that I am in is not an healthy one, what are the steps to take? If you notice something that is wrong or even makes you feel a certain way, expert says do not ignore it. Do not ignore it. When you notice that this relationship is not making you feel good, it's not making you happy, you are not yourself in the relationship, please do not ignore it. I know it is easier said than done, especially if it's a new relationship or if you are being blinded by the love. Probably that person is the type that is giving you money and you feel, oh, it's all about money. Relationship is not all about money. So do not ignore any of this relationship, any of these red flags. Bottom line, these red flags are opportunities to pause, assess the situation, decide if you should continue investing your time in that relationship and in that person. Also, if the issue at hand is still worrisome to you, it's time to communicate with your partner. Let your partner know if their behavior or emotion is unacceptable and unsustainable for you. Let that individual know why. And your partner could just be unaware of how their words or action affect you and not ill intended. So it's important that you discuss with your partner to be this and this and this, and it's affecting me. It's not making me emotionally stable, it's affecting me. And that individual might not even know. So at that point that you have discussed with him or her, you see that the individual changes. But when you have communicated and shared your vulnerability and asked for what you needed, and the behavior and feeling has not changed, then you know that because you cannot change that individual, you know that it is time for you to take a break from that relationship, assess it, and know what to do next. Should you break or not? And even as we are going on, before I mention some of those things that you should do if you discover your relationship is not healthy, I would like to state this fact that you need the help of the Holy Spirit also in determining red flags in relationship. Some people can be so pretentious that it will take the help of the Holy Spirit to be able to decipher, to be able to discern, to be able to know that this individual is hiding something from you. They can be so loving in the outward because they don't want you to discover, because they don't want you to know. And when somebody is hiding something, then they will try to bring up another thing to cover it up. So probably the person is trying to hide something from you and is trying to, show you more love and care so that you will not consider that thing that is hiding. So it takes the help of the Holy Spirit. You cannot sideline the place of the Holy Spirit in deciphering red flags, in choosing the right one for you. So when you have discovered that your relationship is unhealthy, take relationship red flags seriously. Don't make excuses for your partner's poor behavior. It's not within your ability to fix or to change such individual. Yes, because you aren't even married. So save yourself the stress of enduring the relationship while in the first place you're supposed to be enjoying that relationship. Pay close attention to warning signs and focus on finding a partner who treats you with respect. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. And I know that you have learned one or two things. And yesterday on our singles WhatsApp group, we discussed this and some questions came up. And I would like to answer. I already answered these questions on the WhatsApp group. and I would like to mention some of those questions. This question says, how do I get completely healed from emotional hurt and make my heart become detached from someone that I held so dearly, but I had to let go? This person has been in this relationship and she loves this person so dearly, but she discovered that there are some red flags and she had to end this relationship. So, how will this individual get completely healed from this emotional hurt? And the answer to this question is that healing from emotional hurt definitely takes time, because you love this person deeply, right? So it takes time and it can be a challenging process, but it is possible with time. And what are those things that one should do? Number one, give it time. Healing takes time, isn't it? So give it time. With time, you would heal. Number two, don't hold the grudge. Forgive that person, forgive the individual, and let go. Also, recognize that it is okay to grieve the loss and to end the relationship. So it is normal that you would feel somehow for some time. You would feel somehow. So know that it is okay to grieve the relationship. Take care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally. Engage in activities that bring you joy, such as your hobbies, exercises. Also spend time with loved ones. Don't always find yourself in a confined place where you start thinking of it, because it will keep deepening the hurt in your heart. So do things that make you happy. Do things that makes you, like things like your hobby, exercises, and things that makes you happy. And also, if you see that it is still difficult for you to let go, you can reach out to trusted friends. You can reach out to therapists. You can read the scripture, pray about it. Pray about it. Tell God, pray to God for healing. Don't hold grudge about that. Don't hold grudge against that individual. Read the scriptures on healing and let go. Forgive that individual and let it be in the past. And I I appreciate everyone that has watched so far. Thank you for joining me in this live session. And if you're watching this video afterwards, if you have questions, please drop them in the comment section. I will do well to respond to your questions. And also, if you have contributions, what are those red flags that are personal to you? What are those red flags that, those non-negotiable red flags that they are non-negotiable? So when you see it in a relationship, you have to assess that relationship. What are those things that I have mentioned and that I did not mention that they are worthy of note? Drop them in the comment section also. Thank you very much for listening and for watching this live stream. This particular video will be available in the live section of the Godly Women Matters YouTube channel. So do well to refer back at any time. Thank you all for watching. God bless you. And I remain Roslyn Nelson. Remain godly and have a lovely day, lovely week, lovely month, anytime you're watching me. Good night, everyone. Bye.